Welcome back to another episode of Landing America. In my previous episode, I had an engaging discussion with Edmarie Medina and Neres, the immigration attorneys from Alex Hanna law firm. We covered a lot of important topics, but there is so much more to cover. This week, we're diving into the second part of this conversation. We will explore the ins and outs of working remotely from the US, the complexities of crossing borders while seeking asylum, understanding who qualifies for asylum, and everything you need to know about US customs. If you enjoyed our last episode, you're going to love what's in store for you today. So make sure you're subscribed, leave us a review, and share this podcast with friends who might benefit from it. Now, without further ado, let's get started. What about people who live here, or let's say they come for vacation or with a B2,
B2, yeah.
which is tourist, it's
Tourist.
6 months.
Mm-hmm.
Are they allowed to work for companies abroad if they are hired in Europe, but they just are staying here for 6 months?
I would believe so, yes, right? Because you are still being here on the purpose of your visa, which is here on tourism,
tourist.
right? I'm just also working. I don't want to take PTO or something like that, right? But I'm still going to Disney. I'm still doing tourist things. I'm not getting paid by a U.S. employer. I'm not working in the United States. I'm just going ahead and completing the duties of my job abroad. That's just something that I worked out with my job in another country. So I do believe that is okay. You did not work in the United States without authorization, right? For a U.S. employer, making U.S. dollars, and that kind of thing. So yeah, I do think that that's okay if you're here on a B2.
Because a lot of people work remotely nowadays.
Exactly, a lot of
Yes.
people work remote, and at the end of the day,
Exactly.
like as I said, the purpose of your visa is to come here on tourism, and you're still here on tourism. I have no intention in staying in the United States. I have no intention of working in the United States. I'm just going ahead and finishing up the things that I need to do with my job, but I'm still going to Disney World and enjoying the beaches, sightseeing, shopping, and doing all the things that tourists do.
Yes.
So I don't see an issue with that kind of scenario. I think the scenario of working on a B2 is, oh, I'm here on tourism and I'm kind of low on money. I'm gonna go ahead and work at a car wash or babysit or try to make a couple extra bucks selling anything here in the US so that I can make a couple extra bucks to say here. That's working without authorization, right? You're working in the
Yes.
US getting paid in US dollars. That's not the purpose of your visa, even though you're still being a tourist. I'm working to be able to fund my tourism. No, that's not allowed.
Okay.
Okay.
What about the people who cross the borders seeking asylum?
Well, first, there's a huge thing that we need to tell and inform the people when they cross the border and they're looking for asylum is to stay away of notaries
Yeah.
because we have a lot of notary fraud. People have a deadline to submit their asylum application. It's a year once they enter the United States. If you submit your application after a year, it's not an asylum anymore. It's a withholding. A withholding is basically a deportation order that is just withheld. So, and we, in our practice, we see a lot of people that come and we have notaries that act like they're attorneys when they're not. The application gets lost, they're not filed correctly, and that can impact completely on that person's ability to be able to stay and seek the pathway of being a resident in the United States and seek relief with either immigration or USCIS. So if you're coming into the United States and you're crossing the border, it's very important to seek an attorney to tell them the reasons why you're fleeing your country, because not everyone qualifies for asylum. You have to have suffered persecution. You have to have suffered threats against your life, your well-being. You have to be, your case has to be under a protected ground. Let's say a political opinion. You're being persecuted because of your religion, your nationality. We have protected grounds like PSGs. There's one that I'm missing. I think it's
What's
religion,
PSG?
Ethnicity, religion, race,
ethnicity,
nationality.
political opinion.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Language or maybe sexual orientation?
sexual
right?
orientation, yeah,
Yes.
is a
Yes,
particular
exactly.
social group. That's what a
Part-
PSG is.
A PSG is
Oh,
a particular
okay.
social group. It can be there because you're part of the LGBTQ plus community. It can be because your family is being persecuted because you're part of that
Family.
family. Kinship ties have been recognized as particular social groups. So it's very important because you have a 1 year deadline to be able to submit your application, to submit a statement. You will be able to have time to supplement, that application. When I meant supplement, I mean like submit evidence and country reports. But normally the people that enter through the border, they're placed in removal proceedings, and they're gonna see their process within court. So it's very important that they seek a professional, an attorney that works in immigration, and also to be able to go to that first master hearing, because if not, they're gonna get a deportation order in absentia if they don't go to that first hearing. So it's very important for them to, once they receive the documents, go to the correct people, because if not, it's gonna be very, very difficult for them to look a pathway. And normally our clients that come through the border, they go through so many things: kidnapping, rape, coyotes, also human traffic. We in Mexico they call them the coyotes, the
Mm-hmm.
people that bring people. Sometimes they stole their documents, so when they enter, they don't even have a document of where they're coming from. So it's very hard to go through all of that and then come here and pay a lot of money to notaries that are not licensed to practice immigration, and then you face a deportation order because someone was taking advantage of you.
It's important to understand that, you know, those who cross the border seeking asylum, asylum is a pathway to legal permanent residency in the United States.
Yes.
So you are eligible for a green card if you are able to prove your asylum claim in court. Okay, so it's not to say that those who cross the border seeking asylum will never have green cards. It's not true. You can get your green card through your asylum application. As Edmarie stated, it is a court procedure, right? So you're going to be in immigration removal proceedings, and what happens in those proceedings is we litigate your asylum. We're going to prove to a judge that you qualify under the asylum, and if we win your asylum, quote unquote win, but if we prove your asylum claim, you're going to be given asylee status for a year. And after that 1 year of asylee status, you're going to be able to seek your permanent residency card. You're going to be a permanent resident in the United States. Throughout that time, while you're seeking asylum, you're also eligible for work authorization. So you will be here in the United States seeking your asylum while also working legally in the United States. So
Yes.
if you are someone who is facing persecution in your country of origin, in your country of citizenship, the United States does have an avenue for you to become a legal permanent resident. There is a way for you to get your green card. You have a voice, and your voice deserves to be heard. And that's what we'd love to do. It's to hear your story and to be able to fight for you in court, to fight for your case, to fight for your family, to fight for your claim, to prove persecution based on, like you said, a protected group. You're a protected group. If you're a member of the LGBTQ plus community and you're being persecuted in your home country, you are part of a protected group. The United States does have avenues for you to seek, and for you to be eligible for residency, and that's really what we love to do, right? We love, although, not to sound cynical, not saying that I love to hear that you're persecuted. That's not what I'm saying, right? That is not what I'm saying at all. Please. What I'm saying is, um, we love fighting for you because this is the country that is just specifically, in my opinion, for you. A country of the land of the free, of the brave, right? The home of the brave. So this can be your country too, and we're more than willing to listen to your story, empathize and sympathize with you, and fight for you in court to prove your asylum claim, and most importantly, see that green card in your hand, right? See that residency, see a bigger, brighter, better hope for your future, and that's exactly what um, we do, the bulk of
Yes.
our work, at Alex Hanna, although we do everything as well in the firm. We're a full service immigration firm. Um, we deal and we see a lot of asylum claims, and
Yes.
we fight rigorously for you and your right, and the persecution that you have endured. We think you're brave for coming to the United States and seeking asylum. We do. We think you're very brave. We think, you deserve to be here, and that's exactly why we want to fight for you. So to answer your question, the people who are coming crossing the border seeking asylum, to that I say, great. You are a warrior for escaping persecution, and we want to fight for you. We want to fight for your right to be here. We want to fight for your claim, for your
Yes.
case. We want to litigate it. And there are, like she said, deadlines, so it is important that you seek attorney help as soon as you get here, so that we are able to send out a full good asylum packet for you, and that you're able to really litigate that claim to the best of, our abilities. And, for you to get work authorization, it's after
Yes.
150 days after you submit your asylum claim. So kind of, the sooner you talk to an attorney, the sooner we're able to put that a packet together, that
Yes.
application together, the sooner you're going to be able to work legally in the United States. You're going to be able to get that work permit. You're going to be able to work legally in the United States. So like I said, it's an avenue for those who are suffering persecution to come to the United States and be here legally.
This is what I love about the US.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
beautiful.
Yes.
It is, and
Yes.
that's the it's the pathway, right? And the opportunity to be able to be here and be free,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
To flee persecution, but to be free, right?
Yeah.
To live your life freely, openly, proudly. So I love
Yes.
that too about the US.
All right. So since we have a U.S. Customs officer or
Well,
ex-officer,
ex.
X, yeah.
ex-officer here too, my next question would be, what are the main duties of the U.S. Customs?
So, US Customs and Border Patrol is to secure, right, the US borders, make sure that the US borders are safe and secure. And so the main purpose is to inspect, right, and admit most people, foreigners coming into the United States. US citizens too, they're also subject to inspection by US Customs and Borders. But really, in simple terms, it's to keep our borders safe, right? And to make sure that we're able to, live inside the United States safely. They have access to everybody that comes into the United States. So we're making sure that everyone who comes in is coming into the United States with the correct intent and safely and secure. So that's the main purpose of US Customs and Border.
So what do U.S. Customs officers pay the most attention to?
So for people that are visiting the United States, is that you're coming here to abide by the terms of your visa, right? So they ask you questions like, what are you going to do in the United States? How long are you here for? So we're paying attention to that, that you're not committing any immigration violations, right? We're also paying attention to make sure that you're bringing in the correct materials into the United States, that you're not bringing something illegal into the United States, right? They're making sure, there aren't any um illicit materials coming into the United States, narcotics, that kind of thing. But for the immigration purpose of it is to make sure that the people who are coming into the United States on visas, like we said, the tourist visa is actually coming here for tourism, right? You're actually coming here to be a tourist in the United States. So they're paying attention to that. They're asking you questions to make sure that you are here coming to the United States in what you are intended to do.
What about those declared items? Why are you asking about them? And what happens if somebody doesn't declare them, doesn't admit that they have something in their luggage?
So, like I said, it's to keep the border safe, right? So you got to declare items like fruits or anything that you're bringing because there could be insects in those fruits that we don't want introduced into the United States, or we don't want, yeah, insects introduced to the United States or anything like that. That's why you have to declare those items, right? Meats that carry diseases, right? We don't. That's the purpose. We're trying to literally keep the border safe. So if you're bringing in something that's carrying a disease, we could all get infected. I mean, we just all went through a global pandemic, right? We saw how quick it spreads and how detrimental it is to society to be able to experience that kind of thing. It travels fast, and so declaring is very important because not only does it keep you safe, but it also keeps your neighbors safe, the people around you safe. It is important to declare, and there are fines if you don't declare, because the government takes that very seriously. I can't speak for U.S. Customs and Border as a whole, but in general, I think it is taken very seriously.
So if I say I have like a skirt steak in my luggage, you will take it away from me.
Probably, I think they'll take it away. Yeah, I think so. I don't think you're
Okay.
allowed to bring that now. I definitely don't think so, but maybe if you declare it, I can't speak for the agency as a whole, and it's been a little while, but I don't think so.
Who do you usually take for the secondary screening? What are the red flags that make you think, oh, this person needs to be rechecked or double checked?
To be honest, I can't speak for the agency or for every single officer, but if I were working and to take someone into screening, it's just seeing things that are not what's the word I'm looking for, meshing with your visa intent, right? So your story's a little off, or something is not making sense about, your stay here in the United States or something like that. But honestly, the second room is for purposes of national security and for purposes of, visa intent and for screening of illicit materials. So, there aren't per se red flags, but um, they're trying to do their job and make sure that, everybody, like I said, keeping everybody safe and secure and making sure that, you're abiding by what you said you're going to come do in the country.
What about the large sums of money?
So, CBP is an agency that, because they're seeing everyone at first, they're enforcing an array of laws, right? So they're also making sure that people aren't coming into the United States with illicit money, with trafficking of illicit funds. So you do have to declare large sums of money, because how do you have $200,000 in your bag? Where did this money come from? Where I don't think that they're going to be allowed to bring in $200,000 if you can't trace that money anywhere, because we don't know if that money came from, narcotics or trafficking or anything like that, right? They're really trying to enforce the laws and keep the border safe. So declaring large sums of money is doing the same thing. It's enforcing laws, making sure that we're keeping the border secure, that we're keeping everybody safe, that we're not letting illicit funds come into the United States, or people who are traveling with illicit funds be able to bring those funds to the United States, wash that money or anything like that. So
What's the maximum amount of cash you can have?
so less than 10,000, you don't have to declare. There is no maximum amount of cash that you can have. You can have as much cash as you want, as long as
Oh.
you declare.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you say, this is the money that I'm traveling with, I'm gonna declare this money. And as long as you can trace that money, I don't see a problem with you bringing that money in. But if you don't want to declare, if you say, okay, well, I don't want to declare, it's less than $10,000.
Mm-hmm. Who do you usually deny entry?
So there isn't anybody that we usually deny entry to. Everybody's allowed to come into the United States as long as, you have the proper paperwork to come into the United States. You have the proper visa, passport, everything is in check. You're eligible to come into the United States. Entry gets denied if you don't have the proper visa to come into the United States, or you're coming to the United States without a visa in general. You're gonna go ahead and get denied entry. So um, there is not a specific entry denial, but if you're abiding by the immigration laws, you're going to go ahead and be able to enter the country. If you don't have that proper paperwork, or you're missing paperwork, or you're not here to carry out the intent of the visa that you have solicited, then you're most likely going to get entry denied.
What are the steps one should take if they get denied or they think they were treated unfairly at the US Customs?
So definitely CBP has avenues in which you can report. There's a CBP hotline, and I'm pretty sure that you can go on the CBP website and seek some sort of um, supervision on what happened at the airport or border. If you think that your visa was incorrectly, you're denied by CBP incorrectly, and you did have the proper visa, speak to an immigration attorney and see what are the steps that, necessary to take after that. But usually you'll be in your country by that point because you've been denied entry to the United States. So you're on a flight back to your country because you're not going to be able to spend so much time at the airport.
Who pays that next flight?
That's an interesting question, and I believe it's the U.S. government, but I'm not a
Yeah.
1,000% sure, to be honest. Yeah.
Is it true they put you on the first flight out of the country no matter where it goes?
No, no, no,
No?
not matter. No, no, no. That is not true. No,
I've heard that
they're
like
gonna.
you're just flying to Istanbul or
No,
wherever.
no, 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 no. You're gonna be sent back to your home country.
Yeah,
Yeah, to your home country. Yeah,
at least.
at least. Yeah.
Are the officers allowed to search through your phone or laptop?
So from a law perspective, the border has, complete search authority. I think, under the Constitution, it's called zero search authority. So they are allowed, you are subject to inspection, without probable cause at the U.S. border, and you don't need to give consent. Your consent is you're coming through a U.S. border.
Mm.
So, to give that answer to that question from a law perspective, yes, given that, they are eligible, you are subjecting yourself to searches and seizures without your consent because you're coming through a US border, and the purpose of, like I said, keeping the nation safe.
Got it.
Hmm.
All right, I think we covered most of the things that we
Yeah.
wanted to. How can people find you?
So you can find us at Alex Hanna Law. You can contact the office via phone. It is 305-883-7272, or through their Instagram page, Alex Hanna Law, on Instagram, or through the web page as well. Through the internet, you can contact us through there. You can speak to us directly, or one of our intake specialists will absolutely help you with any questions that you may have, or schedule a consultation with us or any of the other attorneys at the firm.
Thank you so much for coming on to this podcast. I really appreciate your time and your advice and all the insights. I'm pretty sure it's going to be very helpful to everyone listening. Thank you, Edmarie and Mara. It was a pleasure.
No, thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
This was awesome.